I never thought I'd be standing at my own partner's suicide memorial service, watching his family and our colleagues mourn a man they never truly knew. The flash drive in my pocket felt heavier than the granite countertops we'd chosen for our office remodel just months before, the remodel he paid for with money stolen from our company accounts. 3 weeks ago, I vanished without a trace after discovering Travis had embezzled nearly $2 million from the tech consulting firm we'd built together over 8 years. Everyone assumed I'd abandoned ship when things got tough. Some even suspected I was behind the missing money. What no one knew was that I'd been meticulously documenting everything. Every fraudulent transaction, every fake invoice, every secret account, waiting for the perfect moment to confront him. That moment never came. Instead, I received a text with GPS coordinates and found his car at Breakneck Ridge, his wallet and phone neatly placed on the passenger seat. As his brother stood at the podium reading Travis's suicide note, blaming market downturns and unfortunate investment decisions for our company's sudden financial crisis, I felt a strange calm wash over me. The flash drive contained irrefutable proof that would shatter this carefully constructed narrative, and I was about to plug it into the projection system his family had set up to display photos of his exemplary life. Travis and I met at a startup incubator in Boston, two ambitious 20-somethings with complementary skills. I was the technical genius with patents pending. He was the charismatic salesman who could charm venture capitalists out of their checkbooks before they even realized what had happened. We fell in love over late-night coding sessions and pitch deck revisions, building both our relationship and our business plan simultaneously. His family, old Connecticut money with names etched on buildings at Yale, never quite approved of me. The daughter of Korean immigrants who owned a dry cleaning business in Queens wasn't exactly what they had envisioned for their golden boy. At our first Thanksgiving at his parents' Westport estate, his mother Eleanor examined my resume more thoroughly than she did the turkey she pretended to have cooked herself. Stanford for undergrad, MIT for your master's. Impressive for someone from your background, she'd said, the pause between words carrying more weight than the words themselves. Travis squeezed my hand under the table but said nothing. That became our pattern, subtle slights followed by private reassurances but never public defense. They'll come around, he promised. They just need time to see what I see in you. We built quantum solutions from the ground up. I developed our proprietary AI security protocols while Travis secured our first major clients. Within 3 years, we were profitable. Within 5, we were the go-to consultancy for financial institutions needing next-generation security solutions. Success should have validated me to his family, but it only seemed to intensify their skepticism. At our engagement dinner, Travis's father cornered me on the terrace of their country club. "I hope you've considered a prenup," he said, swirling his scotch. "Family protection is just good business." I had already suggested one myself. My patents and algorithms were my life's work, but something about his assumption stung deeply. The wedding was extravagant, Travis's parents insisting on taking over the planning and budget. "Consider it our investment in your future," his father had said. What I didn't realize then was how literally they viewed that investment. Our company continued to grow. We moved operations to a sleek office in downtown Boston, hired a team of brilliant engineers, and expanded our client roster to include international banks and government contractors. My name began appearing in tech publications. I was invited to speak at conferences. Travis seemed genuinely proud, but something shifted between us. The first red flag appeared when Travis hired a CFO without consulting me. Mark Daniels was a fraternity brother from Yale with a questionable employment history and an expensive cocaine habit he barely tried to hide. "We need someone who understands how to manage cash flow at our level now," Travis explained. "Mark has connections we need." I reluctantly agreed, focusing instead on our newest security protocol, a blockchain verification system I'd been developing for 3 years. This was my grand gesture to our company, to our future, a revolutionary product that would cement our reputation and guarantee our success for decades. What I didn't know then was that while I was creating our future, Travis was systematically dismantling it, piece by piece, account by account. The man who slept beside me every night was living a double life, and I was too consumed with code to notice the inconsistencies piling up around us. The annual shareholder meeting was scheduled for a Friday in late September. We had rented the Grand Ballroom at the Four Seasons Boston, expecting our biggest turnout yet. Our company had just been valued at $78 million in a private assessment, a milestone Travis insisted on celebrating with an open bar and gourmet dinner for investors, team members, and strategic partners. I had spent weeks preparing my presentation on the blockchain verification system. This wasn't just another product, it was potentially industry-changing technology. The night before, I rehearsed my talk for Travis, who seemed distracted, constantly checking his phone. "It's perfect, Gina," he said, barely looking up. "They'll love it." That morning, I arrived at the hotel early to run through technical checks. The room was exquisite, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Common, crystal chandeliers reflecting on polished marble. Everything had to be perfect. My parents were flying in from New York, and even Travis's family had RSVP'd yes, a rare show of interest in our professional accomplishments. As attendees began filtering in, I noticed Mark and Travis huddled in a corner, their conversation intense enough that neither saw me approach. They separated quickly when I reached them. Mark's smile too wide, too forced. "The woman of the hour," he exclaimed, clapping my shoulder, "ready to dazzle us with your genius." "Just waiting for the financial reports," I replied. "I still haven't seen the final slides for the fiscal overview." Travis cleared his throat. "Minor delay, nothing to worry about. Mark's team is just finalizing some numbers." My stomach tightened. This wasn't like us. We were meticulous, prepared, professional. "We present in an hour, Travis." "And we'll be ready," he assured me, kissing my cheek before guiding me toward a group of investors. The next 40 minutes were a blur of handshakes and small talk. I spotted my parents entering, my father in his one good suit, my mother radiant in a traditional hanbok she had insisted on wearing to honor your achievements. The pride in their eyes made my throat tighten. Across the room, Travis's parents arrived, his mother's eyes sweeping the venue with calculated assessment. When they spotted me with my parents, they offered polite nods before gravitating toward a group of older white men in expensive suits. 10 minutes before we were scheduled to begin, I still hadn't received the financial slides. I excused myself from a conversation and headed for the makeshift office we had set up in a side room. The door was partially open. Inside, Mark was frantically shredding documents while Travis paced, running his hands through his carefully styled hair. "Not going to work," Mark was saying. "The discrepancies are too obvious. Someone will notice." "Then fix them," Travis hissed. "That's what I pay you for." "Even I can't hide $2 million in missing funds overnight. We need more time." I must have made a sound because they both turned toward the door. The look on Travis's face, shock dissolving into something calculating, told me everything I needed to know. "Gina," he said, voice immediately smoothing into the tone he used to placate difficult clients, "you shouldn't be back here. We're about to start." What's missing? My voice sounded distant, even to my own ears. What's going on with our finances? "Just some reconciliation issues," Mark interjected. "Nothing serious." "Then why are you shredding documents?" The silence stretched between us, taut and dangerous. Travis approached me slowly, as if I were a spooked animal. "There have been some creative accounting measures, temporary solutions to cash flow issues, nothing that can't be fixed." $2 million isn't a temporary solution, Travis. It's fraud. The words felt strange in my mouth, impossible. "Have you been stealing from our company?" Not stealing, he said quickly. Borrowing, investing, building opportunities. What opportunities require shredding evidence? His face hardened. This isn't the time or place, Gina. We have investors waiting. Your parents are out there. My family is out there. Yes, I said, suddenly very calm. They are, and they deserve to know the truth. I turned to leave, but Travis grabbed my arm, fingers digging into my skin. If you say anything, you're going down with me. Your signature is on everything, co-founder responsibility. The threat hung between us as Melissa, our head of marketing, appeared at the door. Everyone seated. We need to start. Travis released my arm, straightening his tie. We'll be right there. As we walked toward the ballroom, my mind raced through options. Expose him now? Stay silent? What evidence did I have beyond what I'd overheard? How deep did this go? The applause as we took the stage felt surreal, disconnected from the seismic shift happening beneath my feet. Travis stepped to the microphone, all charm and confidence, as if he hadn't just threatened me moments before. Thank you all for coming to celebrate another extraordinary year at Quantum Solutions. I scanned the crowd, my trusting parents, our loyal employees, investors who had believed in us, and made a decision. When it was my turn to present, I approached the podium with a flash drive in my hand, not the one containing my blockchain presentation, but my personal backup drive. For months, I'd been automatically syncing our company's servers to this drive, a security measure I'd implemented after a ransomware scare last year. Travis had forgotten about it, or never knew. Either way, it contained everything. Before I discuss our new verification system, I began, I'd like to address some concerns about our financial situation. Travis stiffened beside me. Mark, seated in the front row, went pale. As many of you know, transparency has always been a core value at Quantum Solutions, I continued, voice steady despite my racing heart. Which is why I feel obligated to share that I've discovered significant financial irregularities in our accounts. A murmur rippled through the audience. Travis stepped toward me, his smile tight. Gina, this isn't the appropriate forum. I've uncovered evidence of systematic embezzlement from our operating accounts, I pressed on, ignoring him. Approximately $2 million has been diverted to personal accounts over the past 18 months. The room erupted. Investors rose to their feet, shouting questions. I saw my father's confusion, my mother's hand covering her mouth. Travis's father stood stone-faced, while his mother clutched her pearls in what seemed like rehearsed shock. Travis grabbed the microphone. What my partner is referring to are authorized investments made on behalf of the company. Complex, certainly, but completely legitimate. Then you won't mind if we review the documentation together, I said, holding up my flash drive. I have records of every transaction, including transfers to offshore accounts, falsified client invoices, and personal purchases logged as business expenses. I turned to our technical director. James, could you plug this into the system? Travis lunged for the drive, but I stepped back. Security, hired for the event but loyal to me after years of fair treatment, moved between us. You're destroying everything we built, Travis hissed, low enough that only I could hear. Everything you worked for. No, I replied, equally quiet. You did that. The records appeared on the massive screen behind us, damning, irrefutable evidence. Account statements showing millions flowing out. Emails between Travis and Mark discussing how to hide the transactions. Screenshots of luxury purchases, a vacation property in Aspen, a yacht docked in Miami, wire transfers to private accounts in the Caymans. As you can see, I addressed the stunned room, this isn't about legitimate investments. This is about betrayal of me, of our employees, of everyone who trusted us. Travis's face contorted with rage, then smoothed into the practiced charm that had convinced so many to trust him. Gina is obviously upset and confused. These transactions are complex, but I can explain each one. Like you can explain the $42,000 spent at Tiffany's last month, I interrupted, or the $250,000 wire transfer to Alessandra Cortez in Barcelona. I turned to him, the final piece clicking into place. Is she the reason you've been traveling for business so frequently? His silence was confirmation enough. I addressed the room one final time. I've already contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Division and provided them with these records. I imagine they'll want to speak with many of you as the investigation proceeds. The chaos that erupted was immediate and absolute. Investors shouted about lawsuits. Employees huddled in confused clusters. Travis's father stormed toward the stage, face purple with fury. Before anyone could reach me, I walked off the stage, past Travis, frozen in shock, and toward my parents. I helped them gather their things, ignoring the commotion around us. "I'm so sorry," I whispered to them. "I had no idea." My mother squeezed my hand. "You did the right thing." As we neared the exit, I glanced back. Travis was surrounded by angry investors, by his furious parents, by the security team preventing him from leaving. Our eyes met across the room. In that moment, I saw something I'd never seen before. The real Travis, stripped of charm and pretense, raw with hatred and fear. I walked out without looking back. The next 48 hours were a hurricane of legal depositions, press inquiries, and emotional fallout. I stayed in a hotel under a false name, speaking only to the FBI agents assigned to our case and to my parents, who refused to leave Boston until they were certain I was safe. "He threatened you," my father had said, jaw set in determination. "We stay." Social media exploded with the story. Tech publications ran breaking news pieces with headlines like "Quantum Solutions Meltdown, Co-Founder Exposes $1 Million Fraud," and "Power Couple's Public Implosion Rocks Boston Tech Scene." I ignored it all, focusing instead on salvaging what I could of the company and my career. 3 days after the shareholder meeting, I received a call from Rachel Chen, our lead engineer. She had been with us almost from the beginning, brilliant and loyal. "We're at the office," she said. "Most of the team is here. We need to talk." I hesitated, imagining their anger, their disappointment. "I don't think that's a good idea right now." "Gina," she said firmly, "we're not blaming you. We need our leader, the real one." When I arrived at our office building, I half expected to find it empty or cordoned off with crime scene tape. Instead, I found 28 of our 32 employees gathered in the main conference room, laptops open, faces determined. "We've been going through everything," Rachel explained as I entered, "separating legitimate projects from Travis's mess. There's something you need to see." She projected a series of documents onto the wall screen, contracts I'd never seen, client agreements I hadn't approved, partnerships with questionable offshore entities. "It goes deeper than embezzlement," said James, our technical director. "He was selling our tech, your algorithms, your security protocols, to competitors, possibly even to foreign governments." The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Not just our money, but my work, my intellectual legacy. "There's more," Rachel continued, her expression softening slightly. "We've been contacted by 3 of our major clients. They want to continue working with us, with you, if we can guarantee stability going forward." "And the board voted this morning," James added. "Travis has been removed as CEO. They want you to take over." I stared at my team, their tired faces, their unwavering support, and felt something crack inside me. For the first time since discovering Travis's betrayal, I allowed myself to cry. "I don't know if I can," I admitted. "I didn't see what was happening in my own company, with my own partner. How can I lead anyone?" "Because you're not him," Rachel said simply. "Because we trust you." The next weeks were exhausting but clarifying. The FBI investigation expanded, revealing that Travis had been engaging in financial fraud long before our relationship began. His previous startup, the one that had impressed me at the incubator, had collapsed under similar circumstances, though he'd managed to escape legal consequences through his family's connections. Those connections couldn't save him this time. The evidence was too substantial, the crimes too blatant. He was arrested trying to board a private flight to a non-extradition country, carrying 3 passports under different names and nearly $500,000 in cash. I threw myself into rebuilding what we'd lost. We downsized, restructured, and refocused on our core technology. I completed the blockchain verification system, which became the foundation of our company's rebirth under a new name, Integrity Protocol. 6 months after the collapse, as we were beginning to regain our footing, I received a text message with GPS coordinates. Travis had been released on bail, pending trial. His family's influence still powerful enough to secure that much. The coordinates led to Breakneck Ridge, a hiking trail known for its dangerous cliffs. When the police called to inform me they'd found his car but no body, I knew immediately what he'd done. Travis was too narcissistic for suicide. This was his final manipulation, a desperate attempt to escape justice and maybe even frame me in the process. For the next 2 weeks, search teams combed the area. His family held a memorial service anyway, complete with tearful testimonials about his brilliant mind and generous spirit. I wasn't invited, of course. I was the villain in their narrative, the jealous partner who had destroyed their son's life and driven him to despair. I might have let them have their fiction if not for what happened next. A package arrived at my parents' home in Queens, a flash drive and a handwritten note. Insurance policy. Use if necessary. T. The drive contained recordings, dozens of them, of Travis's conversations with his father spanning years. Discussions of tax evasion, bribes to government officials, witness intimidation. A family history of corruption that made Travis's crimes seem amateur by comparison. The note confirmed what I'd suspected. Travis wasn't dead. He was hiding, waiting for the right moment to reemerge with a new identity. And he'd left me this ammunition against his family as leverage, assuming I'd keep his secret to protect myself from their retaliation. He had never understood me at all. I turned the recordings over to the FBI, then accepted the invitation to speak at his memorial service that his brother had reluctantly extended, a gesture meant to appear magnanimous to their social circle. Which is how I found myself standing in a room full of people who blamed me for the death of a man who wasn't actually dead, with a flash drive in my pocket containing not blackmail material, but the location data from Travis's burner phone that the FBI had been tracking since he disappeared. As his brother finished reading the suicide note, Travis's final performance, full of melodramatic regrets and thinly veiled accusations against me, I approached the podium, flash drive in hand. "Before we conclude," I said quietly, "Travis wanted me to share something with all of you." That day at the memorial service changed everything. When federal agents surrounded the remote cabin in Montana where Travis had been hiding, he finally faced the consequences of his actions. His family's empire crumbled under federal investigation, revealing generations of financial crimes that made national headlines for months. As for me, I rebuilt more than just a company. I rebuilt my understanding of success, partnership, and self-worth. Integrity Protocol has become an industry leader in financial security systems, and our blockchain verification technology is now standard across multiple industries. The team that stood by me during those darkest days shares in our success. We've implemented an employee ownership model that ensures everyone benefits from our growth. Sometimes I think about that version of myself from before, the woman who silently accepted slights at family dinners, who ignored red flags in service of keeping peace, who believed that love meant compromise even when it hurt. I wish I could tell her that her value was never determined by Travis's family's approval or even Travis's validation, that her brilliance deserved better protection than she gave it. The irony isn't lost on me that Travis's betrayal ultimately freed me to become the leader, innovator, and person I was meant to be. Sometimes the worst moments of our lives are actually doorways to our best possibilities. If you're watching this and finding yourself in a situation where your instincts are screaming, but you're choosing not to listen, whether in business, relationships, or family dynamics, I hope my story gives you courage. Trust yourself enough to ask the difficult questions. Be brave enough to face the answers, even when they hurt. Your future self will thank you for it. If you found value in my story, please subscribe to the channel for more real-life experiences that might help you navigate your own challenges. Leave a comment below if you've ever had to make a difficult choice between loyalty and truth. I read every comment and would love to hear from you. Until next time, remember that sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you truly deserve.